Hi, my name's Tristan Weiss, and I'm with the Miami Valley Veterans Museum. I'm here with Valley Veterans, and I have Staff Sergeant Michael DeHart here again today. Going to finish telling some of his experience. Welcome, Mick.
Thank you.
So we've covered a lot. You've had a great experience in the military. Fort Benning, on the Fort Polk, on the Vietnam. Definitely exchanged some pleasantries with some folks in Vietnam. But let's talk about coming home. So 1969?
August of '69, yes.
Is when you found yourself back in the States. So what was it like when you were in Vietnam and found out that you had your ticket home?
Oh, it's such a sense of relief, okay. For me, and I was ready, and it's funny how you even then start putting it behind you, not knowing that it's going to be part of you forever. I don't know why that was so hard, but so. You get on the big bird coming home, and the one coming over was really quiet. 300 guys were really quiet. Going home, 300 guys and total chaos. The noise level on that plane coming home was unbelievable because they had made it, and so I was fortunate. I flew into Oakland in the middle of night, Oakland, California, processed, and got my steak dinner that they promised us, put on my Class A uniform, my dress uniform, and went to the airport. I wasn't bothered by anybody. Well, what's that mean? Well, some of my fellows I served with had some bad experiences with civilians, if you will, when they came home. A lot of name calling, stuff being thrown, and spit on, and just nasty stuff. Like I said, I was fortunate. I just came on home. And
where was home for you?
At that time, Troy.
Okay.
I came home and.
So where'd you fly into? Or did you
Dayton.
ride a bus?
Yeah, no, I
flew into Dayton this time.
Flew into Dayton this time and got off, and the horde of people was just missing. Okay, so but anyhow, had a couple there to greet me, so that that worked. And there's a short story that I want to tell, because I don't know how whiskey became part of my narrative, if you will. I had the time with Sergeant Booth, okay, and I came home. A bunch of the family went out to eat that night. And I was very nervous being around a crowd of people, civilians, okay? I wasn't even aware of what was going on. Something was going on with me. I was very nervous. And the bartender at the restaurant was a sharp old guy, and he had to have been a veteran. And he picked up on my situation, my condition, and all of a sudden he sat down. There's those 3 fingers again of whiskey in front of me, and I looked at him, and he said, and so I did, and I don't want to promote whiskey, but it worked. And to this day, I've just marveled that he was able to spot that. I went back to work at A.O. Smith, where I'd worked before, and a lot of guys experience this, and it's really sad. I mean, I don't cry about mine, but it's sad for them. In my case, I went back to work, and for the most part, they didn't know I'd been gone. Okay? Few close friends did. One fellow that I didn't work closely with came up to me and he says, "Where you been? You been on vacation?" And I thought, "Yep, I got a place I can recommend for you." But, you know, and even those that worked closely with me, there was no conversations about where I'd been, what I'd done.
So it was just put away. You just,
And I thought, well, I buried it, put it away, and, you know, went
So-
on my business.
so would you say when you took your Class A's off after you got off the plane and you boxed everything up, that's just where it stayed?
Exactly.
All right.
For a good
And-
while, and then we'll get into
and-
what happened.
and is there a reason why you just decided to box it up?
Nobody cared. Nobody was, and I don't want to single out, you know, combat veterans as the epitome of the military, because you put on our country's uniform, as far as I'm concerned, it's all one big group, okay? This group gets to do this group gets to do that. I had trouble talking to what I will refer to as civilians. In other words, to people that were not in the military, didn't seem to comprehend what I was talking about when I would say share an experience like we are here. And finally I said, I'm not going to embarrass myself anymore. And so I just put them away. A friend of mine, he uses the analogy, just put it in a suitcase, stick it in the closet, and there it is.
All right. So after you got back, you went back to work. Did you try and join any organizations? I mean, what were you doing?
Yeah, you know, because I thought that's what you did when you came home from the service, and experienced some roadblocks there. For some reason, some of the fraternal organizations really didn't want Vietnam vets.
And these are the veterans organizations.
Yeah, and there was another one I got turned down on, but that's another story. Later on, you know, in their defense, it all changed, you know, and I belong to one now, and they started. Well, initially, though, the Vietnam veterans created their own fraternal organization, and but later on that they relented.
All right. So 1969, you get back, go to work, and basically you put everything away until, what, 2005? Before you even start talking about military service again? Does that sound about right?
Yep. What happened? I reached a point where I thought I needed to go to a reunion. So I went to Indiana, and I went to over north of Indianapolis to a great big Vietnam reunion. I mean, it was out in the country, and it was on quite a few acres of ground. It was big. And it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It wasn't what I needed. You know, they had put up tents and everything, and guys were walking around in fatigues and, you know, yelling at one another, you know, welcome home, which was cool, you know. And it just didn't hit me. I needed some closer conversation, if you will. So I called my wife Carol. I said, I'm gonna stay all night on the edge of Indianapolis, and then I'm coming home. So I came home. And then in 2005, we went to a reunion of the NCO school that I'd went through. Okay. And that was a whole different ball game. I walked in there and I was surrounded by my peers, okay, if you will. Maybe I didn't go through NCO school at the same time as they did, but they did and I did, and we shared that, that common ground. And so my comfort level was right there. And then we started attending reunions. And
So that first reunion was basically a catalyst to you revisiting your military service.
right. And
All right. So these reunions, what were they like? I mean, what did they do for you? How many people were attending?
it's what I wish I could, get through to those that don't go to reunions. That was my NCO school reunion, okay? I didn't serve with any of those guys in Vietnam. Didn't go to school with them, but like I said, we still shared that common ground. And then in '08, we had our first Echo reunion, first company reunion, okay? And keep in mind now, this is '08, left there in '69, no contact, okay? And so what's that, 31 and 8, so it's 39 years. We're going to have a reunion where I'm going to see the guys I served with, okay? So
From a world long forgotten.
after 39 years, well, close, they'd become like ghosts. Because my thought process was, did I really serve with them? Did that really happen? Because I had no conversations to reinforce. Okay. A couple of my guys that came home lived close to one another. They saw one another all the time, which was fantastic. Okay. They talked. And if you go back, one of the concepts of the fraternal organization was to create that kind of camaraderie. Okay, but I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody I could talk to. My brother Terry went to Korea. I didn't want to talk about that because he almost froze to death, and I hate cold weather. But, that first reunion was in Memphis, Tennessee. And I can remember it vividly. I had two gentlemen that were in my first squad that I was in charge of. And I was looking at some pictures somebody had brought, and I turned around, and there they stood. And to say it was emotional would be the biggest understatement of the year. It was unbelievable.
So what happened after this reunion? I mean, so you've moved a long way from 1969 coming back, no welcome, to having these reunions, to now talking today. What's transpired over that time since the reunions?
Quite a bit. The reunions in themselves were, how do I want to say? I have to throw the bouquet elsewhere. When Carol and I decided to organize a reunion, that meant we had to find these guys. And so I got some names, and I called two names, okay? And each conversation with those guys took an hour, hour and a half. Because there was 39 years to catch up with. And I couldn't do it. So the reason you get married is so you can have a helpmate, right? So I found two of them, and I thought it only fair that she find the other 218. And so that,
Sounds fair.
That worked out, really good. And but bless her heart, she'd get into the same thing. she'd be having hour-long conversations, you know. And I'd feel for her as I changed the channels on the TV, and, you know, but...
All right. So in 2009, what happened in 2009?
Quite a few things. That's when my military career really changed, if you will. 2009, we had another reunion. And also in 2009, I was inducted into the Ohio Valor Hall of Fame. And that, you know, that was quite a big thing for me. I had planned to go to Cooperstown, but
A Bronze Star, 2 Silver Stars, a Purple Heart. Do you have a V device on one of those Silver Stars?
well, both the silvers are for combat. The Bronze Star has a V. I actually have 2 Bronze Stars. I got one for meritorious service, which I'm kind of not more proud, but proud of that one, because that means you were a good soldier, you know. It's what the Good Conduct Medal means, you know.
So it's safe to say that your military record does reflect that, you know, valor. I don't think anyone can get a Silver Star. I think it takes some significant action and recognition. And we've discussed that, Mick, that I think you have that very much. So in 2009, you were inducted into the Ohio Valor Hall of Fame. During this time, were you still having reunions?
Oh yeah, we started having reunions every 2 years, and we had them in 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and 19.
All right. And in 2014, you went to Washington, D.C., correct? What'd you go to Washington for?
In 2014, they had what they called the Valor 24. And what they had done, the military had done a lot of research across all branches, reviewing awards that had been given, and to see if any discrimination had taken place. So in that research, they found 24 soldiers that they felt had been discriminated against, in as much as the award they received should have been higher. And they put them all through the criteria. And in that 24 was a fellow named Jesus Santiago Durand, okay? That was with me on April 10th. And, you know, I told you he had been given a DSC. Well, they had upgraded it to the Medal of Honor. Unfortunately, Durand passed away in 1977. And we had been hunting his family ever since we started having the reunions. And anyhow, we were able to hook up with his 2 children. And that was another emotional roller coaster, if you will. And they invited us to go with them to D.C. Each family could bring 8 people, each recipient or whatever. And they only had 2, 4 plus kids, so Carol and I were invited to go with them, you know, because I had served with him. And so we went to D.C., and that was, you know, for the small town kid, that was a big deal because, you know, I'm eating at the White House. You know, I got to go to the Pentagon because there were 2 ceremonies, one at the White House and one at the Pentagon. And I got to watch the President Award, 24 of these Medal of Honors.
Right. But the story doesn't stop there, right? In 2015, back in Ohio, and you were inducted into the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. Can you tell me about that?
I was inducted into Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. The Valor Hall of Fame was for what you did in the service. The Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame is what you did out of the service. Along with Carol, we had provided over the years, once we got started, help for the veterans, getting them signed up. At one of the reunions, Carol had gotten a hold of the senior guy from the Purple Heart organization. She would find service officers to come to the reunions to talk to the guys if they needed to file a claim, things like that. And if I ran across somebody that needed to go to the VA. For some guys, going to the VA and getting registered is a big step. And I know from whence I speak.
Was that a big step for you?
I won't say I was dragged there kicking and screaming, but I was probably pretty vocal. And I had I had a good offers to, I had a well-known businessman in Troy, and he said, I'll take you down and get you registered. We'll go in my Lincoln, And I still turned him down, But I finally got down there and I saw, how to do it, what took place, et cetera, the benefits. And so if I ran across anybody and they said, nah, I don't want to go, I said, I'll go. I'll hold your hand,
All right, Mick, there's a lot of other things that you've also done. In 2015, you were, I'm looking at the notes here, Grand Marshal. Maybe you can read that writing.
No, I know it.
Oh, you can't either.
That was the Grand Marshal of the PTS Day Vets Parade in Columbus.
Gotcha.
Young fella I became friends with at the post office years ago. He was just a young pup, and I was the old guy, and for some reason we clicked and we remained friends for the
And
next.
in 2016, Grand Marshal again in another parade? Mm-hmm. This time hometown, correct?
4th of July parade. And the one in Columbus involved classic cars and hot rods and so forth. That parade was extremely long. Extremely long. I forget how many miles. Okay.
No mortar plate though, so you were okay, right?
Oh yeah, and but being Grand Marshal of the 4th of July parade was huge too. And
Mick, through all these conversations, there's one thing that's been missed. You actually have not 2 silver stars, but 1 silver star and a Distinguished Service Cross, because the action that Staff Sergeant Duran received the Medal of Honor for was upgraded. When was that upgraded?
his upgrade,
Yours.
2018. That's quite a story. It involves
A lot more time than what we have left.
yeah,
today.
because it doesn't so much involve me as it does.
Yeah. I want to set that record straight, though, and make sure we know that you have a Silver Star, Distinguished Service Cross, a Bronze Star, a Purple Heart, Meritorious Service. What else am I missing here? I feel like you've got more.
Oh, I've got an air medal.
Another cross.
I have everybody in Vietnam got the Cross of Gallantry with a palm, and my first Silver Star, along with it, I received the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry with a Silver Star. Yes, so
All right.
I have two of them.
Well, I don't want to cut you off, Mick, but we're out of time. Really appreciate it again. And again, my name's Tristan Weiss, and I'm here with the Miami Valley Veterans Museum for Valley Veterans. And thank you, Mick.
Thank you.